Hey everyone, David C. Anderson here.
With Seth V.
We're coming at you from the KnifeCenter, and today we're answering a question which comes from Al Black. He says, hey DCA and Seth, if you had to choose a big and small EDC combo, one 5th pocket-sized knife and one 4-inch or over big boy, for a combined total of $150 or less, what would be your perfect little and large pairing and why? Let's do it. So I liked this question. It's fun to think of these kind of, we're knife nerds. It's fun to think of these combos, things like what's the best tool for the job?
Yeah, we don't have to pick just one knife, we get to pick two.
In this case, yeah, absolutely. But I mean, this is a game I used to play all the time, like finding the best thing for a particular scenario. And the reason I love all these questions that we get from you folks is you guys are always giving us new scenarios to find the perfect thing for. So that's why I enjoy this. So if you look on the table here in front of us, Seth and I have our nice ZT zipper pouches here with some knives in them. But Seth, when you were putting this combo together, what were you looking for the big knife to do and the small knife to do, and how are they going to complement each other? And then I'll tell you mine.
Okay. This was a question that really resonated with me because this kind of scenario is something that I actually do, maybe even more often than not. As I have fallen further and further into the knife industry, I've taken to carrying more and more knives at a time, and
it's a bit of a curse.
Yeah. The two knives I'm carrying today, I think actually, aside from maybe the budget, fit this idea rather nicely. So I have a Spyderco Military as my large knife, my big boy, with just over 4 inches of blade, I think. And also carrying in my front pocket, a little Bestech Front 5.
Nice.
And I like both of these knives individually, but I think they make a great pair. A big knife, I think there are a couple of good reasons to carry a big knife, like a truly big knife like this. One is if you have enormous hands and you can't even hardly manipulate a small knife. I know there are people out there like that. Two is if you want something with huge handle comfort. And the military kind of has that, but it's not exactly what I think of. I'm thinking of like a big contoured handle, something like a Cold Steel 4 Max, just something with
Oh, those feel great, yeah.
Yeah, something that really, really feels your hand, that almost is gonna replicate a fixed blade. And then the other reason to carry a big knife, for me especially, is just a long, slicey blade. This is gonna do a lot of my day-to-day food prep. I like having a little extra edge for those kitchen tasks, even just slicing through a sandwich, that extra edge length helps keep all that sandwich stuff away from your hands.
And that
nice
shape's
clean cut.
going to work really well for that because of the belly here. You can really get onto that cutting board while giving yourself some clearance too.
Yeah, the military has that nice negative angle where the blade kind of cants forward and lets you get right down there to it. It works great for me, this little combo. Both of these knives are a little hard to come by week to week, so I don't know that I recommend them for everybody. A lot of people are not going to like that the military is tipped down only. Doesn't bother me, but I know it does for many people. But that's kind of the philosophy at play there. A nice big slicer, something that's not super heavy and over large for my pocket. After all, I'm carrying other knives. And then something for precision work. This little guy with its Wharncliffe shape. The tip especially, I love being able to get so close to it, to score something, cut out like a shipping label on some package I'm sending.
Sure.
Yeah, this is perfect for that. The precision of a small blade, that's why you carry a small knife too.
Yeah. I'll say for me, generally, like I love what you're talking about on the big, long, slicey blade. Especially for not just food prep stuff, which for me, I know you actually tend to use your folders a little more in a food environment than I do. I'll usually reach for a fixed blade or one of my kitchen knives. So the slicing has always been a very important thing for me, but more important for this combo, for my large knife, is something that's going to be carried easily. The military is a really big knife, and it can feel like it in your pocket. So I wanted to I don't typically carry a knife that large, so I wanted to keep it that was something that didn't feel like it was overloading my pockets. Because I keep a lot of stuff in my front pockets. I don't even use my back pocket. So there's wallets and phones and my pads of paper and pens and knives. So the real estate is at a premium. So that was a big consideration for me for the big knife. And then the smaller knife, for me, one of the most important considerations here was something that was friendlier. The precision and stuff, you want all of that, but I wanted to go with something that wasn't threatening.
Yeah.
Because when you're dealing with the two, if you have to cut something, maybe the people you're around, maybe you don't want them seeing you flinging out a big 4-inch knife. So something that's going to be small, nimble, and not sinister.
Yeah.
Was a big consideration for my little knife. So, all right, that's my logic. Let's get back to you. What were so I'm gonna guess. Well, do you want to start with the big knife or the little knife first?
Let's start with the big one. I think the big one really drove my choices, and then the smaller one was selected as kind of a compliment to that. Yeah.
Given we're not necessarily gonna have to guess each one's pick, but I am wondering, because I know you like the military, and that in fact would be my guess for you if we were dealing with a cost no object budget, but the Spyderco Resilience, I bet you it was on your short list, even if it didn't make your final pick.
I did consider it for sure. Like the blade length per dollar with the Resilience is really good.
And I picked one here just to prove it.
Nice.
I meant what I said.
I'm glad you have it to talk about. I mean, like, it is, even among big knives, that is a big knife. I mean, it's like 4.5 inches?
I think it's about 4.2, actually, I want to say.
Comfortably more than 4 inches of blade, and it...
Yeah, about 4.25, yeah.
It feels stretched out. I mean, it's a big, long, full flat ground blade. Definitely going to do that.
It'll do your slicey stuff, yeah.
For sure.
And they're like $60 for the lightweight version, $66 for the G10. I mean,
I like the light. I think the lightweight is a pretty straightforward upgrade over the G10. I mean, I know plastic is not a premium handle material. G10 has a little bit more of prestige, I guess.
Cachet, something, yeah.
Let's be real, they're both plastics, and the FRN, I think, feels a little nicer. The edges are a little softer.
I do like the FRN.
They're rounded a little more, and it is lighter.
I'm not prepared to say which one I think is better, but I think both are quite excellent. I don't feel like the FRN is a downgrade, I'll say that. So you didn't pick this.
I didn't. I did consider it, though. I do think it's an excellent value.
I knew you did consider it, at the very least.
I guess sticking with considerations for big knife, I could not ignore cold steel when it comes to big knives. And so on my short list, this is not my final pick, but the Recon 1 is an excellent big knife. You get a lot for the space this is taking up in your pocket. It's not hugely thick, but the handle is definitely oversized, maybe isn't.
It's girth. It's got enough meat on its bones.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, I mean, like, in a full fisted grip, I've got plenty coming out the top, coming out the back. Yeah, lots to work with here, even for extra large hands. The blade is super tough. These have S35 VN steel now.
How much are these going for right now?
This is $116, I believe.
So you'd be really cramping into the budget on the small one for this $150 limit.
Yeah, that was part of the reason I didn't select it. I think I wanted a little bit more even split between the two. And the other reason is just the blade is a little overbuilt for what I would recommend somebody carry a big knife for. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to carry an overbuilt knife. In fact, it's a great thing.
I'd say it's probably more fair to say it's not something that you would recommend for the tasks that you look for.
Yes.
And, because there could be plenty of reasons someone might need that overbuilt knife in this scenario. Yeah.
I personally subscribe a little bit to the logic that you should just carry a fixed blade. If you're going to be really beating it up, get a fixed blade and enjoy it. The triad lock comes about as close as I'm comfortable recommending a folder as a fixed blade replacement. I'm not saying it is, but the toughness here is legendary. It's super strong. You can beat these up and they will hold up. But I don't know, it's a lot to carry around every day. Day in, day out, you know, the pocket clip in this texture tends to really tear up pants. So if it was my only knife, I would pick something different. So I did. Well, why don't you go through one of your picks?
Well, I've got a couple runner-ups. We'll start with the big knife. The resilience was also on my list. I mean, it's hard to deny the value. It's hard to deny the sliciness of this knife. But for me, it's just a little much. Like sometimes I choose to carry a big knife and I'll make that pocket space sacrifice, but most of the time I'm carrying a smaller knife. And this just wasn't quite there for me. Like you, cold steel was on my short list though.
Yeah.
Again, this is a knife that's too big for what I'm looking for in this scenario, but the Clip Point Voyager. I mean, the Drop Point recently came out, and I'm usually a Drop Point guy, but I like the efficiency of the full flat grind on this Clip Point. It's a little more slicey, but you've got that strength. The value on these guys too, I mean, it's like $68 knife.
Yeah.
So you've still got plenty to play with for the small combo here. But again, I also did not go with the cold steel this time.
Yeah. In a video about big knives, we have to mention cold steel. I mean, like, nobody does big value knives like cold steel. That is incredible
no doubt.
for the 70-ish bucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, not what I picked.
I'll show you my other runner-up.
Oh,
We're winding our way to the final choices here, but these are all great knives. And this is the Steel Wheel Sedge.
I forgot about that knife.
Very overlooked choice. I did too. I found it just going through the website, kind of trying to refresh myself on our selection of knives at or above 4 inches. The blade on this is D2 steel, just at 4 inches here. Nice contoured G10 handles, really colorful, bright red backspacer there for a little pop of color. A nice big knife, and this has the slicey blade geometry too. Full flat grind.
And a little bit of that negative angle too.
Little negative angle, yeah. The handle is more dropped than the blade, but you do get that nice, the tip kind of presents itself downward.
Sure.
Got the opening hole here, so nothing to get caught if you are doing that food prep type stuff. Nice distal taper, really rather aggressively thin tip.
Yeah.
This would be a fun one to carry as your long slicing knife. Plenty to work with, and comfortable too. Really nice ergos on this.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've held one of these. Like I said, I did forget about them. Yeah, it's gonna work really nicely. And washers in the pivot too. So if you're doing that food preppy stuff, it's a good consideration there. Very cool. Well, we've seen 2 of my runners up and 2 of yours. What did you land on?
I landed for the money, the Kershaw Strata.
Nice.
Yeah. This came out last year, I believe. We've got 4.5 inches of D2. They actually make a bigger one.
Right, this is the small.
This is the small one. Steel frame lock. Got these cool copper kind of inserts, which on the back actually act as an over travel stop for the frame lock. And what really put it, I don't know, over the top for me, no pun intended, is this loop over the top deep carry pocket clip.
Very, very out of the way.
Super elegantly done. The fasteners actually are hidden on the inside of the handle. So you get just that totally smooth side in and out of your pocket.
I like this choice.
Super easy to carry. The flipping action is great. It does have ball bearings in the pivot. So you're gonna have to watch out for corrosion. Just keep it well oiled.
Keep it clean.
Keep it clean, it'll be fine. But yeah. And lightweight too, crazy lightweight for the size.
Yeah, this would really work for my criteria of being not too bulky in the pocket either. I mean, it's thin, not too wide when it's closed up. And well done, that is a great choice.
It does everything that I like a big knife to do really well. Long blade for slicing. It's not overbuilt like the Recon one, so if you're looking for something to smash with, this isn't the right choice.
Right.
I would point you towards the Recon one in that case, but if you're just looking for that performer, that everyday that everyday slicer, and something that's really gonna impress people. You know, you mentioned maybe not wanting to give people the wrong impression with a giant knife like that, but
maybe sometimes you do want to give someone the wrong impression.
this knife does leave an impression,
yes,
for sure.
I'd say so.
For sure.
Cool. All right, well, for my final pick, it isn't one I'm like 100% happy with. I'm like 95% happy with. But working within the constraints, I think it's a really good choice. And I went with something, the value you can get nowadays with some of these imported knives with the materials is pretty astonishing. And coming in at $90 for my pick, I went with the KnifeCenter exclusive Bestech Swordfish. Because you've got a 4-inch S35 VN blade in this price range.
Those came out so nice.
They really did. It's not as slicey as some of the other stuff, even that I picked as my runner-ups, but it's slicey enough. You've got that reach. You've got a handle that gives you a little bit more girth here, so you do have, like, you know, the kind of desire sometimes when you have a big knife, you want to push it through some bigger jobs. You've got plenty to hold on to there. So it's a little thicker than like the Kershaw you just showed, but it's not wide in the pocket. I've got extra play this way in my pockets, but the width is really the biggest factor in what is going to fit comfortably for me. And this guy really does it. You got that deep carry clip as well. There's a black version of this if you want the black blade, but the materials, the fit and finish, everything taken together, this is a pretty premium feeling knife for 90 bucks.
Absolutely, yeah, the price is fantastic, and I think more than anything else on the table, this pulls off that really cool trick of feeling like a small knife in your pocket until you take it out.
Well, and it doesn't even feel like a huge knife in the hand either. It has it there, but it is fairly nimble. I don't want to say it's like, that's its like primary characteristic, but it moves very well. It gets out of its own way.
Yeah, they've really aggressively lightened the liners in here. They got a couple big chunks taken out of it. The balance is nice. Yeah, and I mean, with that clip in your pocket, it's just gonna disappear and sit very, very neatly in the corner, staying out of the way of everything else you got stuffed in there.
What's really cool too is if you want to, maybe you want more than $60 to play with for your small knife, you can get this in D2 for like $52.
Ooh, nice.
I mean, the price on that is just astonishing for the amount of knife you're getting right there. And it still has the same great feel. Like the upgrades here, it's the same, you know, build, it's the same parts as the D2 version, just with the upgraded blade steel here. So they feel just as nice at almost half the price.
Yeah. Action is really satisfying too. It almost has that like little zip to it as you flip it open.
Yeah, you can hear the little race going on.
Yeah.
It's a really, really good knife and a really good value for money as well, I'd say. All right, so that's our big knives.
Yeah, let's go small.
Let's go small. I don't have any runners up for mine. I have the one choice.
That's funny. You know, me neither.
I had a couple others that I was considering, but kind of the price I was left with after deciding on the $90 there guided my choice. Would you like to go first?
Sure. Yeah, I wasn't constrained so much by the budget, which we were trying to hit that $150 total mark. So this knife took up just about half of it, but my small knife pick is only going to be another $50-ish. And it is the Spyderco Manbug Wharncliffe.
Yeah, you get some of that precision that you liked on your ProTech.
Yeah, exactly what I was talking about with my ProTech. The tip is the name of the game here with the Wharncliffe Manbug. You know, just for those little tasks you want to be close to the tip for, there's no way to do it with a knife like this.
You've got too much size and too much belly, really, for a knife. Even though it's not a huge belly, but on a knife that size, it's going to get in its own way for that type of work, just in a way the Wharncliffe will do differently.
Yep. And if you are a big guy with bigger hands, looking to carry a large knife, this is a small knife that I think will still work for you. The Manbug takes the Ladybug kind of proportions and beefs it up a little bit, so it's thicker. It's easier to manipulate and get a good grip on.
They're not actually thicker this way, but they're taller,
Yes,
right? Yeah,
taller.
So there's a little more to grab onto that way.
And no pocket clip too, which for a 5th pocket knife
Works really nice.
I think it works nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Too many pocket clips can kind of get in the way of trying to get your hand in there.
Yeah, to the point of the bigger, I've got slightly larger than average hands, and these are real easy to hold on to. It's about 2.5 fingers, but you've got enough height and you've got the traction from that FRN that really locks in pretty nicely.
You know, and to your point, this wasn't really something I was considering, at least not consciously, but this is a very polite knife. It's small. You can get them in fun colors. The blade is not super aggressive. Perfect little utility knife.
It's funny you mention that in particular. 'Cause actually, I do have the other knife I was considering in the bag here, and I'll bring it out for the small knife. I didn't have enough budget left, but the Spyderco Dragonfly. And the reason I say this wasn't even really the runner-up is I actually think this is a little too aggressive looking for the non-sinister pair to the bigger knife. Although the tuxedo nature of this softens it a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't know, something about the Spyderco feels a little too aggressive to me.
Maybe it's that swedge.
The Manbug is a little less so. The Dragonfly, I think, is a little more aggressive looking than the Manbug. But it's interesting you made that point about that. So what I wound up going with is a fairly new release, and it is the Civivi Baby Banter. I think it works really well. I mean, even the full-size Banter actually will fit in a lot of my watch pockets that on the jeans I carry, but it's a little big. And also beyond the budget in this particular case. These things are really nice. I really like, you can get it in like blue and purple. Those have a black blade and those are kind of fun looking, but I really like this burgundy G10 version here. And I mean, that blade shape right there, it's about as unsinister as it gets. It's not particularly pointy or sharp or any of that. It's just a simple drop point that has a tip kind of like a modified sheep's foot in a way. Nitro V steel, which is going to work great, and $60. I'm really maxing out the 150 right here. Yeah, I mean, the build quality of Civivis are great. You got ball bearings in the pivot. You can pop it open, or you can be more polite and just slow roll it. Deep carry clip, which could easily be removed if you don't want that hanging around in your 5th pocket. But I think this is a great complement to this if you're just opening like an online shopping box and you just need to pop the tape. This is great for that. Smaller things, even stuff like zip ties, being able to use the spine of the knife to really lift up underneath the zip tie here. It's really great. Something that I actually think would do better than the big Bestech in this case.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes those tasks where you need to exert both high force and high control, like popping a zip tie when you don't want to have the knife come back out at you. Having a small knife makes that much more controllable and pleasant to do.
And the thing I like about
Such a
this,
great design.
It is. It works really well. The thing I like about this combo in particular is at no point when you're using these do you feel like you've constrained yourself to a budget, which is just is really nice. They both feel, they don't feel ultra premium. You know, they're not Sabenzas, but they don't feel like you made any sacrifices to hit the price points.
No way. Yeah. The action on this is great.
Yeah. And the build quality, I mean, you can't say anything bad about them. They work. Edges are nice and thin. Yeah, man.
I love the inside jimping here. I feel like I've said this before, but that is just the best place to put jimping. Because, you know, it helps you stay away from the edge. It's useful to have jimping up here too, but the stakes are much lower.
True,
you know,
true.
You go past the jimping, it's fine to touch up
Yeah.
there, but you know, on this side there's the edge, so that jimping's doing some heavy lifting.
Sure is.
It feels great. It's very reassuring. Like this is a
Yeah.
small knife that says, "Don't worry about it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Well, that's our budget combos, and actually just for fun, we decided to do a cost no object combo for this same thing as well. So we've got those in our bags here. you've already shown your military, and that was going to be my guess for your cost no object combo in this case. So I'm guessing that's not what you picked, so I have no other guesses.
Well, it is a Spyderco. So you weren't too far off.
That far off.
It is the KnifeCenter exclusive Police.
Nice.
Yeah, this blows the budget all on its own.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, this is like $220 right now. But man, this knife is sweet. In addition to being part of the Packwood family, meaning it has nice Packwood scales and laminated HAP 40 core blade steel, which is a nice upgrade. Yeah, most of the other Polices out there don't have the same type of construction. That's what kind of sets the exclusive apart.
The Police 4s specifically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the traditional Police just kind of has slab-sided stainless steel handles. Bit of an icon, but not my favorite knife, if I'm being honest. The Police 4 has a lot of the modern Spyderco DNA with the finger choil, the full flat grind, and
more belly on the edge too than the old Police.
Yeah, it's a little more. The Police 4 is a little more general purpose. It's not quite the last-ditch combat knife, utility knife that it was originally designed as. This is just a really big EDC knife. And yeah, for that food prep stuff too, I mean, so much blade, tons of handle. It's gonna slice like a demon.
Yeah, it's got the same negative angle. The HAP 40 will take a bit of patina from the food prep, but that's kind of gonna be cool after a while too.
Yeah, and I think it matches the vibe of the wood pretty nicely.
Yeah.
You got the kind of natural handle, you got some natural wear that's gonna appear on the blade.
Very cool.
Dig it.
So what I like about doing the this no cost or cost no object alternative is one of the things you can't, or I wasn't really able to make work within the $150 budget are locks that do that thing I talk about frequently enough, is that when you use it, your fingers can stay out of the blade path. So stuff like Benchmade's axis lock, button locks, compression locks, that sort of thing. Now that we're up in the budget, I can play around in that arena a little bit. And I've got some big knives with a crossbar lock, but none of them are quite big enough for this question. I mean, my Crewwear Adamas, it's a big knife, but it's only like 3 3/4 of an inch on the blades.
It feels so much bigger.
Same thing with my Presidio 2 that I use. Both big knives, but not big enough. So I went with the next logical option, the full-size Crooked River from Benchmade. Still have kind of the same requirements or same considerations as the more budget picks. I want it to be easy enough to carry in the pocket. This is a little bit wider, but it's not as wide, I don't think, as either of these two, my runners-up in the budget category. I can do the wrist flick thing. I can close it, and at no point do your fingers, except for this one to indicate, cross that leading edge. So you got a little bit of extra no think about it safety going on.
Yeah.
And a little bit slicier of a blade shape than the Bestech provided, which I also really like. Phenomenal knife, 4-inch blade, S30V steel. I think the price on these right now, $261. So we're well above the original price limit, but they work really well. I think I would be very happy with this.
Yeah, definitely. They feel bigger in person than they look in pictures.
Yeah, even the small on this, actually, I prefer the small, which is kind of a medium-sized version of this knife, the mini Crooked River. But this is cool too. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Interesting. We both picked a synthetic, like a pressed wood product for the handles on both of ours.
You know, I think it kind of helps to temper the bigness of the knife. Something about it.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's that natural. It's warm to the touch. It's got a warm color to it. I mean, take a look at these two knives. They're in overall length almost identical in size, but I think they're going to get some different responses if you pull them out to cut something real quick.
I think it's on like the borderline, I'd say. Like people who are prone to reacting negatively towards the blade coming out are going to react negatively either way. But yeah, there's going to be the middle ground where you're going to have a different impression with one over the other.
Yeah.
All right. Small knife?
Small knife. So this one was just for fun. I mean, let's be real. If we're going to carry 2 knives, you'd like to have a pick that makes you smile. You know, that to me, that's, I don't think I said this right up front, but that's another legitimate reason to carry a pair of knives. You know, maybe one's very utilitarian, but a bit of a vanilla choice. So you carry another knife that's just for you. That's something that makes you smile. And the knife that's made me smile here at the KnifeCenter in the last couple weeks more than anything else is this little slip joint from Serge Panchchenko.
I knew you were gonna pick a slip joint somewhere along here. I didn't say that when we were guessing the small piece, but these guys are so cool.
Yeah, this is called the Leaf, the Serge Panchchenko Leaf. The walk and talk on these is fantastic.
They're so snappy.
Yeah, look at it, just kind of find its home there at the half stop,
and then just slam shut. Yeah, that's so nice.
I really like what he's done with the back spring. It's kind of visible here, just for fun. You know, the little pocket clip follows it too. Works just fine, even though it is such a tiny pocket clip. I had it clipped to my pocket just to test, and it's so tiny.
Yeah,
it's like a 1-bite knife, you know.
It's almost too tiny. Might for that 5th pocket. Yeah, I mean it depends on the size of the pocket, quite honestly.
Let's compare it to the. It is smaller than the Manbug, just a skosh. Yeah, this was fun. When I first saw pictures of this on the website, I had no idea it was that small. It looks like a larger knife.
Well, because we're so used to seeing not the same shape, but you know, Serge's style like this in a slightly bigger knife. Yeah, Seth and I were both actually kind of just opening and closing this last week, going, "Hey, nice," over and over, because it is really satisfying. The cool thing about a shape like this on a slip joint is, you know, if you're worried about safety, about it, you know, closing on you, if you're going to pierce with this blade, you're pushing down on that tip, the force is going back and up towards the back spring, as opposed to something with a, you know, an aggressive belly. If you're going to tip with that, you're much more likely to have force kind of go the wrong way. So this blade shape actually mitigates that somewhat.
Yeah.
And it just makes it's just really cool. It's a cool finish. I love the grind on it. What's the steel on that guy?
M390.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Yeah, and the cleaver shape, it allows you to pinch it open without the need for a nail nick.
Yeah.
Super easy to open and close.
How much are those right now?
These are $116 right now. Let me double check. My very official. $115. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Not bad. Well, I didn't go quite so Lilliputian for my. Here's the thing. To me, the Crooked River, you know, we compare it to that Bestech again. Overall length, we're a little bit more on the Crooked River, where the Bestech doesn't feel like a knife that's that big. The full-size Crooked River feels a bit bigger to me. It's got more of that big knife vibe. So that played a part a little bit in my smaller pick. Again, I wanted a lock I could keep out of the path of the blade, do the one-hand opening. And also, I didn't mention this, important for me, one of the things I enjoy doing, I like to carry an American knife when I can. So I got that with the Benchmade. And even though I feel like they're a little more aggressive and a little more less not sinister than some other picks, if that made any sense, I went with the Lil Native. You know, on the larger side for what could comfortably fit in probably like the bulk of watch pockets out there, but they fit in mine just fine. You've got the compression lock. You've got an S30V blade. Again, I'd say the Dragonfly looks a little bit more aggressive, but shades of difference here, I'd say. I mean, we're about $142 on this guy. Works really well there. You've got plenty to hold on to, so even if I still want something with a solid grip, but I don't want the big knife feel, I can still do things with this. You've got good slicing geometry. It's just a great little knife. You know, just under 2.5 inches on the blade length, so you can carry it literally just about anywhere that you're allowed to carry an edge. Chances are it's not going to be too big.
Yeah. Man, that's cool. I think I like the Lil Native more than the original.
Ooh,
yeah, believe it or
hot
not.
take.
Hot take.
2 Spyderco hot takes from you today. You can get this in a lockback version as well. You can get it also, at some point, the slip joint version is going to be coming out if you want the non-locker. And of course, you can check out our Spyderco video from SHOT Show. Eric showed us a lightweight version of this too, that's thinned out a little bit and even slicier. Nice.
I think it's because of the finger choil. The finger choil is more important on a knife this small, because you're not gonna. It becomes the only way really to hold and manipulate the knife. And for that here, it's great. I mean, it does not feel small in any respect except in the pocket and in the edge. You know, the ergos here are full sized.
Yeah, it works a little bit bigger than it is. Yeah,
definitely.
In a way that, you know, the Banter is kind of a different, or the Baby Banter is a little bit of a different scenario. You still can, but it's, you know, it's definitely a different feel. I mean, look at the difference in thickness and in the height there. There's just more to wrap your mitts around right here.
Definitely.
Both awesome knives, though. Both really good knives.
Baby Banter tapers a little bit towards the choil, where you're going to be kind of pinching it.
Yeah.
So it does feel a little smaller.
And to your jimping point, we don't have jimping on the choil here, but you also don't have an overgrind through the choil, so there's a little bit less to worry about.
There's really no edge. It's physically close, but it's not actually threatening your finger.
Yeah. All right. That was fun.
Yeah. Good excuse to pull lots of giant knives.
And good excuse to play the game of what's the right knife for this.
Yes.
And solve for X, find the right knife. I mean, it's a fun game. Thanks for sticking around, folks. If you have some of your personal choices, either for this $150 budget or for the cost no object scenario, drop them in the comments. Let us know what you thought of our combos as well. And to get your hands on these guys, we're going to leave links in the description, as always, to take you over to KnifeCenter.com. Make sure you sign up for our Knife Rewards program while you're there, because if you're going to spend your money on one of these knives, might as well earn some free money to spend on your next one. I'm David C. Anderson.
I'm Seth B.
From the Knife Center, and we're signing out. See you next time.
Bye.